Hey everybody, Max and I have another video prepared for you. I think you're going to love it. Stellar Cash XLM update. Is PayFi Stellar's PayPal? Sounds a little complicated, but we're going to explain it in exquisite detail for you. This is going to mean more money in your pocket. Usually when we're covering something, that's what we're aiming at, is more money in your pocket, more trust in the assets that you hold. By the way, if you like this content, please do give us a thumbs up. All of you know it helps the algorithm. We don't want to beg, but if you want to get lucky with your crypto right now, hit that thumbs up and luck comes your way. You're going to reap what you sow. We pray blessings on all your movements. We also thank you that you're going to watch this Decent Wallet commercial. It helps both of our channels. We'll be right back. If you own crypto, you need a self-custody wallet. I've chosen the Decent Wallet after owning several different wallets. I believe you will like it too. Use the link in the description. Purchase from my site. It does help support the channel. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you for looking at that. We appreciate all of the orders. By the way, just to update you, why do you always talk about the Decent Wallet? We literally get tons of orders for the Decent Wallet. So we talk about it all the time. The day we don't sell any, we'll stop. But really, we appreciate you guys and all the activity that you have. Max, get us started on today's content.
Sure thing, Will. So what we have is a genuine Stellar Cash XLM update. Is it really Stellar's PayPal? This is called PayFi. So I'm going to share some key things with you. And basically, Stellar recently shared this, literally on their official X. It is referred to, again, as PayFi, and they refer to it as basically the next frontier of finance. Now, a lot of people boast some of these statements, but at the end of the day, when we look at this where it says integrating payments with on-chain financing can unlock new and affordable financing opportunities, well, let's face it, a lot of you guys, let's face it, you're looking into the whole thing of possibly buying your first house and so on. Is Stellar that bridge to make that happen? What are they bridging with? Is it PayFi? Thought this was really, really cool, and that's why Will and I are bringing it to you. As we get further into it, the whole idea of integrating payments on chain, well, it leads to this. What you may be wondering, Max, Will, what is PayFi? Well, PayFi helps businesses unlock liquidity and streamline payment flows. By tokenizing assets like accounts, receivables, and treasuries, future cash flows can be turned into immediate usable funds that can be transferred or settled. Yeah, you read that right, in real time. Liquidity providers fund these tokenized assets, offering yield-bearing returns that are often more sustainable than traditional DeFi. Well, at the end of the day, isn't that the whole point? Well, pump the brakes, because PayFi is starting to have a transformative impact on businesses and individuals worldwide. Well, when we talk about, for example, Stellar, a lot of times we talk about the peer-to-peer side. Guys, gals, ladies and gentlemen, we have right here, plain as day, bank-to-bank settlement. This is interesting. Opening the doors to improve access to liquidity, sustainable yields, and of course, sustainability. Now, I don't want to get into the whole thing of, reading all of this, but they have an ecosystem. And of course, there's a report, but then that brings in things like Masari, PayFi ecosystem analysis. So before I kick it over to Will, I want to share you guys this. And it's payfi.ca. Now, I will state this. Let me come back in a frame. I did a search literally before the show started with Will. And I said to myself, I need to double check my sources. Is PayFi.ca the same PayFi that's with Stellar? And the answer was yes. So I was like, all right, cool. Because, sometimes there's companies with similar names. As I pull this up for you guys, this is payfi.ca. Bill credit when you pay your rent and get lower credit limits or higher credit limits and so on and so forth. But it's trusted by key companies like Velocity and so on. But something, credit limit, credit with blockchain, sometimes this could scare people, but at the end of the day, if we're trying to use something a little bit more efficient, especially when it comes to, let's face it, escrow and all this. Why shouldn't Stellar be part of the mix? So this says PayFi will make everything easier. Is that really true? And, at the end of the day, look at this. We have representations now of how it all comes together. Of course, I'm going to show you a little bit more about it all. But before I kick it over to the wheel, I want you guys to see this. And this is so simple and so absolutely interesting, because when we talk about Stellar Cash and is this Stellar's, PayPal, well, brings us to Huma Finance, introducing the PayFi ecosystem, a powerful visualization of the financial architecture shaping the future of global payment financing. This highlights 6 foundational layers of the PayFi stack, driving faster, lower cost, accessible financial solutions. All right, look at this. This part's interesting about DePin. You guys know I cover a lot of Jasmy, so to see this mention, that would also mean what? Maybe AI, DePin, so on, cross-border payments. But this is so impressive in my view, okay, and my understanding. So as I pull this up on the other screen to make it that much bigger for you, you see here financing layer. You have things like Huma, Pith, which I think is a good project. There's Chainlink, but compliance layers, custody layers, right? And you see Fireblocks once again mentioned here. But right below it is the currency layer. And you know how we talked about, for example, Circle with Stellar, right? That's Circle's stablecoin, basically speaking. Circle was formerly known as literally Stellar USDC. We see, for example, Tether, but again, the key players. And then right below stablecoin infrastructure, what do you see? Transaction layer, Solana, and Stellar. That's interesting in itself, because at the end of the day, what coin would be used for settlement? That transaction layer, right? Stellar, XLM. So is this a real thing about Stellar XLM Cash? I think the answer is yes. I think this is a big move moving forward to have the whole concept, everybody, of, let's face it, things like what Will was talking about over a year ago. Will was talking about Algorand and Lofty AI. I think, if anything, this truly is the PayPal connection, if you will. This is Stellar's PayPal. That's a massive win moving forward for Stellar Cash and this bridge between retail, real world assets, let's face it, real estate, and the whole shebang moving forward. Your thoughts, Mr. Will Fix?
Well, I got a real close comparison, real life comparison here. PayPal. I used PayPal when I started my music store. Used it to receive payments. We were doing altering the guitars, making guitars look like Eddie Van Halen's beat up guitar, with Judah guitars. And I started with PayPal, and what PayPal did is they monitored how much money was coming in to my system. Then they offered me a loan that didn't require a credit hit, and they offered me like $20,000 loan. And what they were going to do is just clip the money as it came in, so I could pick the percentage and how long, the interest rate, how long I could pay it back, and as money came in, they just clipped it. Well, that was based on accounts receivable, and this is what XLM is suggesting to do. Now, I'm sure it's going to be much better than, I call PayPal the Gestapo, because I've recently parted ways with PayPal because they force you to do stuff by just locking your funds or, doing some things, but that's another story. But when I see XLM saying it's basically loans on accounts receivable, which is opening up DeFi to the idea of being able to access funds without a credit report, which there's a lot of people that have shot credit, but they're trying to rebuild their lives. They may have filed bankruptcy on a failed business and then have a situation where XLM can see accounts receivable by them setting up a system where they're using those funds and receiving funds and giving funds is how I suppose it would work. And then being able to access money, before, as a loan on accounts receivable, that is phenomenal. I mean, that is a wealth building idea. So this is real impressive to me that they're getting involved in DeFi, which will also be accompanied with the ability to earn money with XLM, because whenever they get into DeFi, you don't have one without the other. They'll end up having some kind of a way. Of course, it wouldn't be called staking. It would just be some kind of a yield bearing, I'm sure. But this is exciting because the world of finance is changing, and banks are slowly going to be eliminated. If they don't join in on crypto, they're going to lose relevance.
Yeah, they will. Funny you mentioned the whole thing of PayPal and the Nazis and so on. It does. I left them too. I haven't been with PayPal for a couple of years, but from the early 2000s up until about a couple of years ago, I would use them with pretty much everything. Selling something on eBay. Early 2000s, there used to be a thing called Yahoo Auctions, and you get paid in PayPal. But lately, it's been a case of literally, your papers, please. We have the KYC that we are looking for, Mr. Real Fix. We want to know about everything about you, and that house you have.
We've shut your account down until you can prove you're purchasing these items. That's what they did. They shut my account down. We couldn't move money out of our PayPal account. Now, this is just out of the blue, right? And saying you have to prove to us that you're purchasing these things at a wholesale, and reselling them. I'm like, that took a little while to meet the criteria of their proof. But until then, you are not able to spend your money.
We joke around, guys, but in reality, it is a case of we will KYC you to oblivion. All right. Anyway, we had a little fun.
Who owns it?
PayPal?
Yeah.
What's that?
Used to be Elon, but now.
Oh yeah, originally, right? They kicked him out of it and so on, and and that's the whole thing about X. We're getting diverted, but
by Schwab now.
We'll point that out, right? So it's like it's these itches that these big billionaires that they have to scratch. Like Elon Musk is never going to forget about his vision of X.com back in late 90s and so on. So it's like, now what do you see with Twitter? Everything was strategically designed years ago, and now we see the whole thing of his mission about 50% or more of the whole world. What is it? A payment platform through that, and that could be a real thing. I know it's speculative, but that could be a real thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to kick it over to this last part. We want you guys to see this. And some people are going to ask, do they really have a stellar plug and all this? Well, yes, of course they do. But just in case you're a non-believer, let's go ahead and show this. So inside the PayFi ecosystem, are driving 2.8 billion in transactions. Again, why is this important? Well, look at this. Even if I hold my mouse over this, these guys highlight, what is Stellar? Well, we already know what Stellar is. I'm not going to play that. What is PayFi? We already explained that. Cross-border payments, the stablecoins. Interesting. You guys are more than welcome to watch this, okay? Stablecoin RWA adoption. But here is your key highlight. The most exciting PayFi use case. Is this truly Stellar's PayPal? I know we said some bad stuff about PayPal, but maybe moving forward, maybe these guys are like, your papers, please, Mr. Nell Dixon. Your vote are best. All right, let's play this. Here we go.
I'm curious, what's the most exciting use case? I know PayFi covers quite a few things, but if you had to pick, I know this is hard, but what are you most excited about? What's the problem that you're solving?
I'll just, I've definitely, like I said, we've gone full circle, and we're back in the world of cross-border payments. I still think that this is the area in which we're seeing like the strongest product market fit right now, or we've definitely done the 0 to 1. And I think now this ecosystem needs to scale, and there is definitely room for a lot of impact in that space. So I think, especially around cross-border payments and financing cross-border payments, I think that's a really big one. And the other one, like Herbal said, I think right now we're in this weird place where there are these two extreme. There's either DeFi, that's kind of like very adventurous, very speculative, CeFi, TradFi space, in which you have like the more traditional financial instruments, and there's a whole spectrum in between that needs to be explored in terms of providing everyday financial services for people. And I think that PayFi specifically, and also real world assets that are more DeFi friendly, are where we're going to see a lot of innovation in the upcoming future. And it's really about kind of like filling in the gap between these two worlds.
That's definitely one of the most common use cases that we see, but the one that's most unique, I think, is more in the DePin financing side. So DePin, decentralized physical infrastructure, actually quite suitable to leveraging PayFi, because the biggest bottleneck in DePin is that it usually bets on the network working at scale and being economically viable at scale. But there's this huge bootstrapping problem and chicken leg problem that you have at the beginning. You need to put capital into it for the capital to generate a productive asset, and the productive assets basically pays back the network. If you think about Bitcoin mining being the biggest DePin operation, you need to be able to make sure that you can afford, first of all, a mining rig, and that mining rig can pay you back, over time. And most DePin projects have a similar mechanism in play. And with plugging it into PayFi, you can actually tokenize all those revenue streams, future revenue streams, and make sure that anything that the DePin network requires from a capital expansion perspective can be financed, and those royalties can be plugged back into the liquidity pools that have been supported the capital at the first place. And we have Rome that has launched their first DePin financing solution on Stellar and in Huma recently, where it's one of the most innovative wireless network solutions, that they have these Rome devices that you can install anywhere you want in your office, in your home network, and it plugs into this like global mesh network. And all of them comes with a CDN and a VPN solution built in. So they're actually helping get more revenues for the network by being part of the CDN and VPN network. And those revenues are now, plugged back into the PayFi pools that are supporting the distribution of these ROM devices, because ROM devices are being partially financed by the PayFi ecosystem. And they can go from 1 million users to 10 million users, because now they can tell people, what, put 25% in, 75% finance, and that finance portion, you don't need to take any money out of your pocket. It's all going to be paid by basically the network being productive and plugged in and working on its own and doing what it needs to do. And we're seeing another version of it in the energy sector. We are seeing that a lot of governments, for political reasons, are not funding energy projects anymore, especially if they're more traditional oil and gas energy projects. But these are like massive projects that has royalty guarantees, like payment guarantees, 10 years, 20 years down the road. And PayFi is one of the perfect solutions to finance them on chain, bring liquidity on chain, consolidated, help these projects to succeed. And those royalties can be tokenized and pay back the liquidity pools with greater yields than what sometimes DeFi can offer to the retail user or the institutional user. And we're seeing OnFund, one of the examples in Middle East we're working with, turning this into a reality. They're actively working on building their whole stack on PayFi and on Huma to make this a reality. And that can just change the whole energy sector, because the whole world, especially with AI being so important, is struggling to get enough amount of energy, and we just need to finance more energy projects.
One thing that I disagree with Herbal on, I definitely agree that in terms of like, these funding these like massive projects, that's PayFi is definitely well suitable for. I think the DePin space as a sector, if it proves itself as a viable sector, then yes, I think that PayFi is really suited for it. I don't think we're there yet. I think we haven't seen the 0 to 1 on the DePin yet. I think there are a lot of what you see right now is speculation on what potentially could be. A lot of it is fueled by speculative tokenomics. And I think that at the end of the day, there are, especially around kind of like these massive like hardware projects, there is value in the economies of scale that large players provide. And so I'm a bit of a DePin skeptic, but I'd love to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think DePin's a really exciting concept, and I know our research team has written a lot about it. So, if it works, I think PayFi sounds perfect for it. But, when we do think about the dependencies and we think about the headwinds, I'm curious, what do you think the biggest challenges are right now for scaling the PayFi space?
Anything that's so new first has to be well understood to be adopted. So I think that's probably true for PayFi as well, because it's so new. We have to have this conversation and really explain the benefit of PayFi, what it is, what it does, the use cases. So that's probably the number one bottleneck, because once you get to the use cases and people start to understand those use cases are impacting everyday businesses and people, there's no bottleneck.
All right. So with that said, this whole thing about the bottlenecks and what could scale up and so on and so forth, I made this short little video, again, called like a documentary AI and so on, because I realized that people are going to ask the questions that's on the minds of everybody. And that is, DePin. Max, Will, why is DePin significant to, for example, Stellar XLM moving forward? So with that said, we have this brief little video that will explain in thorough detail with visualizations to explain just that. And then we'll wrap it up here in a bit. Here we go.
Of DePins presents a transformative opportunity for Stellar, propelling its mission beyond traditional financial services into the realm of decentralized physical infrastructure. By leveraging blockchain technology, Stellar can facilitate the tokenization of essential services like internet access, energy, and storage, creating a more accessible and democratic system. This aligns perfectly with Stellar's goals of enhancing financial inclusion and affordability. The use of XLM as an incentive within these ecosystems could drive demand for the token, providing tangible utility and potentially increasing its value. Furthermore, the decentralized nature of DePins can alleviate scalability challenges, allowing Stellar to showcase its efficiency in real-world applications. As developers flock to build on this platform, Stellar can expand its ecosystem, fostering innovation across various industries. By embracing the DePin model, Stellar not only stays relevant in the rapidly evolving crypto landscape, but also positions itself as a key player in bridging the digital and physical worlds, enhancing the practical use of cryptocurrencies like XLM in everyday life. This strategic integration could significantly bolster Stellar's adoption and utility, marking a new chapter in its evolution.
So the way I look at it, Will, is whether Tomer Weller, nothing against him, feels that there's too much speculation in regards to DePin, all I have to do is look more into what DePin's fundamentals are looking to accomplish. In my opinion, this is in line with the greater vision of Stellar moving forward, and not just for peer-to-peer, but as we've seen at the beginning of the outline, even some of that bank-to-bank. Is Stellar truly going to have PayFi as its PayPal? That's the real question. Your closing thoughts, Mr. Will Fix.
Yeah, I think I agree with your summary there that I think it will. I think it will. That, it is a payment system. So it is designed for person to person, from what I understand, and they also will do bank to bank. So it looks like a natural migration to get to, have a platform that everybody can use to make payments and to use the money that they have, and then to be able to tokenize their accounts receivable and things like that. I mean, it sounds pretty amazing to me. I don't see how they can present that and it not be adopted.
Well said. Enough said. So with that said, you guys, we're glad to bring it to you guys. We love to obviously have a little bit of fun with the education. We may joke around with the your papers, please. You got to keep in mind, Will and I come from Medal of Honor Allied Assault, which, by the way, in the future, we got some news about that, but that's further down the road. But we'll always joke about that because, it was Axis versus Allies. You get the gist. Anyway, simply do us a favor if you listen to the entire outline and type in this key abbreviation into the comments, and that is MOHAA, MOHAA. And we'll know that you listened to the entire outline. On behalf of myself and Will Fix, know what you have, know where you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. We will see you on the next one.